Hey there, welcome back to Hope Regained. I'm your host, Christiane Boudreau, and we're here for episode 4, Self-Awareness, Waking Yourself Up to the World. I know you've heard me talk a lot about self-awareness over each step of the way, and this is another key component. We're covering a lot of the introductory pieces about making that life of yours something worth waking up for every day. And another big part of it is really getting to know yourself, connect. The key relationship you're ever going to have is with yourself. You can't have a relationship with others until you have one with yourself. You can't truly love others until you love yourself. It's so important to have the best relationship with yourself before anyone else. So in order to get that, part of it is self-awareness. You have to take the time to say, who am I? Do we really even know who we are? We get so busy with everyday life, everything we do, work, taking care of things that we call adulting, paying the bills. We get encumbered by it. And that case, we don't take the time we need to get to know who we are. Dig deep. And for some, it's pretty uncomfortable. For others, not so much. But either way, it's something we have to be committed to doing. What is truly important for me is a question we need to ask ourselves every day. What is important for you? What are your main goals in life? What is key? Is it family, health, happiness? What does happiness look like for you? What makes you happy? How can we understand that better for ourselves unless we take the time? If you're trying to get to know somebody, you take that time with them. You ask them questions. What we need to see is, why don't we ask ourselves those questions? We should be doing that every day. What's important to us? What makes us excited? What do we see for our future? What do we really want? Those are things that are so important about getting to know ourselves. What doesn't have meaning for us? Well, that's the opposite. What's not important? What do you see as being negative, that is a negative impact? And how can we put those aside or work around them or get rid of them altogether? What things aren't important that we waste time on, that we could be using that energy for something that is important? We have to weigh out the pros and cons like anything else and understand those two sides of ourselves. What do I like about me? That's an important question to ask. What are the things that lift us up, that when we look at ourselves, we feel good about? We also have the opposite of that, is what do I not really like about myself? Well, that can be difficult. That can be uncomfortable. But we have to look at it too. We have to look at both sides again, weigh the pros and cons. What would I change? Well, if we're writing down in our diary, in our journal, what do I like? What do I not like? Of the things that I don't like so much, what do I need to change? What do I want to change? What can I commit to changing? And again, that has to be honesty, accountability within ourselves. Nobody's going to judge you. Nobody hears what's going on in your thoughts or, excuse me, what we're writing in our journal. That's ours. So we can be very honest. We can write those things down. It's easier to take inventory that way and keep track of where we're at. So that's a good place to start. Where am I today? Where am I at in my journey in life? Is it what I want? Is this where I expected to end up? Is this where I wanted to be? So that's deep soul searching. Are you happy with where you've come to, or did it happen by chance? Was it planned? Was it what I expected in that plan? And if not, do I need to change it? What parts do I want to change? If we have these all written down, it's easier to start making goals and lists on all those things that we do want to work on. So it's very important to take those bits and pieces down as inventory so we can start somewhere. And the one big thing that a lot of us really struggle with is, what are my dreams? What are my hopes and dreams? We're told lots as we're growing up, oh, you're a big dreamer. That's not great. That's not real life. That's not the real world. Well, when we hear that so often, that usually stops us. We have these blocks, these mental blocks that stop us from reaching those goals, those dreams. If it's something you really want badly enough, then you can attain it. As long as we're not hurting others and we're being the best person we can be, what's wrong in those dreams? Nothing. They're what keeps us going every day. So don't be afraid to dream. It's important to keep those. But the other side of it is make sure that they don't block your everyday living. You still have to continue doing that, the real life, but keep those dreams. Sometimes some people do dream boards, and I know a lot of people think, oh, that's strange, and I don't want anybody to see it, or I feel uncomfortable with it. But sometimes it helps keep that up there for ourselves, writing it down, putting it in front of us to remind us. And it can be attained. It can be. It's just we have to stick to it and put the little goals so we don't feel like we fail. So let's start with those pieces to get to know ourselves, the important parts of today, what's here in front of us right here, right now. That's the beginning of self-awareness. Another important part, let's start on reflection now. Along the years, part of knowing who we are is understanding what's made us who we are today. What have we gone through in our lives? What's impacted us the most? Who's been an important part of that? What have we done in certain situations? Learning all of that. So milestone events along the way that still stick out in our memory. Again, in our journal, in our workbook, we could sit down and write these things down. When we're taking that time for self-reflection, it's important to write them down so we can look back at it. And part of that is, what were the big milestones in my life? What still resonates with me? What sticks with me? Because that's going to be an important part of who we are today. So writing them down is a good way to really take a hard look at them. What still sticks that doesn't quite still feel settled? So what things have happened in your life that really stick with you that doesn't make you feel settled? You don't feel like you've resolved it, or you've made peace with it, or you've been able to move past it. It blocks you. It's important to look at these blips, or whatever you want to call them in your life. Maybe it was something major that you haven't resolved. Because if we're going to move past that with the new us, we have to be aware of what we're stuck in. Those are going to be pieces that we're going to work on and move forward with. And I have some really great guests coming up that are going to talk about things in their lives and how they've moved on and what they've really realized were sticking points. And there are different ways to resolve them. So we need to make a list of those things. What have we not resolved? Then another part is, we get so busy in our lives, is what did we used to love doing that we've stopped? there must be something in your life that gave you great, great joy that all of a sudden we've stopped. When we were kids, we played with things that made us happy, made us laugh, or things that brought us great joy. And now we don't do them. Why? Is it because being excited for Christmas morning is childlike and we have to be grown up? Are there preconceived notions or ideas that outside environment, people in your life have made you block it because it's not the way to be as a grown up? Well, I'm here to tell you being a kid and being excited for life every day is important to live your happiest. So it's okay. Yes, we're grown-ups. We have to do grown-up things, but it's okay to hang on to that childlike wonder or the excitement. It makes us a happier person deep down. So make a list. What are things that we really enjoyed that we've stopped doing? Maybe we stopped doing them because we didn't enjoy them anymore. And that's good to know about ourselves. But maybe we stopped doing them for another reason. And it's important to understand those reasons. So let's make a list of those items as part of our self-awareness. And we can work on that and take a deeper dive. Again, with some of our guests coming up, they will talk about some of those things as well. And then it'll make it a little bit easier maybe for us to do some self-reflection or give us an idea of what those things are. What are the shining accomplishments in life? What do you have that you've done in life that you say, wow, I really appreciate this accomplishment? It's different for everybody. It doesn't have to be about work. It doesn't have to be about people. It could be something very private that you've accomplished for yourself that you've never told anybody, but feels really good. We need to hang on to those moments and those important things, because by sticking to that, when we're in one of our down points and we need to go into a self-talk, which is another episode, we need to have moments to reflect on to lift ourselves up again. That's an important piece to know. We don't look enough at our own accomplishments. We think it's part of ego or it's not okay to build ourselves up, but it is. It's important because when we build ourselves up, that helps us build others up. It's a very important part of our life. What relationships do you still have in your life? What are their meanings to you? What are the new relationships you have in your life over time? And what are the importance of those relationships? Let's reflect on those. We talk about having a relationship with ourselves. Well, that's impacted by those relationships around us. Are they positive? Are they negative? Why are they important in our life and why do we hang on to them if they're detrimental? Why do we push away the ones that are positive? There's so many different sides to that. So that's going to be another difficult, challenging way to look at the bigger part of our relationships, because that makes us a little bit more aware of our own with ourselves. Write them down. Really take a hard look at them. This is not work that's going to be done in a day. It's going to be over time. And take your time. Write it down, walk away, come back to it another day. It's very important as to understanding what relationships are going to be healthy for you, what relationship with yourself is going to be the healthiest for yourself. By looking at and analyzing all the other ones, it's going to take time. And which relationships have ended and why? What choices? Was it the person you were with and why? Was it one that you chose to end and why? It helps us understand about setting up healthy boundaries. Sometimes it's somebody else's healthy boundaries and we don't respect them or don't understand them or not comfortable with them. So we haven't accepted that it's for other reasons. We've beaten ourselves up for it. So this is important pieces as well to get to know a bit better and to work alongside. So as part of that, it's tough questions and honest answers. We have to ask ourselves the tough questions. It's not comfortable when somebody else asks us those questions, but it's even more uncomfortable, believe it or not, when we ask them to ourselves. And we have to give ourselves the honest answers. Again, nobody else is hearing this. This is something for ourselves. And because of that, nobody is going to judge you for it. The only person that's going to judge you is you. We beat ourselves up enough with the bat. So put it away and say, this is part of the work I'm doing. It's okay. It's okay to be honest. It's the only way we're really going to make some breakthroughs. You have to ask, am I being true? After each thing that you write down, really look at it and say, is that the truth? Am I being truly honest with myself? I'm beginning to build authenticity, because the best relationships you're going to have are those that are authentic and real. But that has to start with you being authentic and real with yourself. It's the hardest one. I agree. And it takes a lot of time and it can be painful. But there are lots of things to be celebrated too. So take them both side by side as we go through this. Write it down. Each time you make a comment, look back. Am I being authentic? Ask it when you look at your answer. That will help you keep yourself in check. Accountability starts here, not out there. We start with ourselves. Do I truly value the people in my life? My backyard. When I've spoken about us really looking at our backyard, that's how we make changes here first. Those changes work outwards from there. We want the world to change, or we want something to change. It has to start here first. And if you're looking at valuing yourself, you have to surround yourself with the people that you truly value. They make it another reason to give value to yourself. So look at those relationships. Are they harmful? Is there value in them? Because am I building up things in my life for me that don't have value to self-sabotage? Certain questions like that. So write it down. Do you truly value them? Do you cherish what you have? Do you appreciate those special people? Why and why not? What do I contribute to those important relationships in my life? They give you contribution. So what in turn do you contribute to them? Now, I'm not saying you walk up to the person and say, hey, what do I contribute to you? Not at all. You are doing self-reflection. This is self-awareness. And I'll tell you, that was a tough question for myself. What do I contribute? It's difficult sometimes for us to pick out those great values within ourselves. Like I said, we're putting away the baseball bat. We're not going to beat ourselves up. We're not building an ego so that our head's not going to fit through the door if we feel that we contribute really good things. We want to celebrate those good things that we bring. And we don't want to beat ourselves up for the negative sides that we might bring. Those that love us accept us for us. And the ones that we love, we need to accept them for them. But to be able to understand all of that, we have to look at both sides. And what do we bring to the table? If there's something there we want to change, that'll be in our journal. We can pick those things out and work through them together. That's what we're committing to you, and hopefully you can commit to yourself. What is my life purpose? Why am I here? Do we truly know that? It takes years for some of us. I know it took me years and years and years. What's important to me? I can say the biggest importance for me was being there for those that I cared about. That's my true purpose. The people I love, and trying to support them and be there. And another thing that's really important to me is making a difference in some way, bringing some joy, happiness, something great to somebody else. That's what's important to me. Took me years to figure that out, and it's okay. It's quite all right. I'm here today. But that's something that's important, and the light bulb might not just click on right away. Take your time. But if you write the question out and have that moment of meditation, self-reflection, one day the answer will be obvious. You sit in that silence, it'll come to you. What makes your heart really pitter-patter? And that's part of the self-awareness piece that we're working on. A really tough question. Am I willing to do the hard work for me, to be the best me? At the end of the day, that commitment that we've talked about, it's hard. It's tough. It's a struggle. It's complex. Sometimes it's very happy, and there are moments of joy to celebrate in this self-reflection. But sometimes it's painful, and we're going to places that, we might have to cry through, and we really don't want to go there. It's an ugly place. So it's hard. It's hard work. Anything that's worthwhile is never simple and easy. It takes an honest effort. You owe it to yourself. We all do. And I can tell you that there's a reward at the end of this. The life that you have, you will love. No matter what situation you're in, we'll get there. And we're here to get there with you. So we're all in this together. Make that commitment. It's hard work, but when you're ready, you can get there too. And I'm being true to myself. Again, it's the second time I'm saying it. But being true and honest with yourself is where it needs to start. You want people to be true and honest with you in your relationships, then you need to be true and honest with them. And can you really do that if you're not true and honest with yourself? It's kind of hard to do. If you're not true and honest with yourself, then they're not going to have the best of you. So think of it both sides. You want that from them. You got to prepare to give it to them as well. And it needs to start with you. So how do you know if you're ready? What about this commitment to work? It's a lot. It does take time. And it's going to be up and down. And it doesn't matter if you start and you're gung-ho and you get ready to go, and a week down the road you realize I haven't done anything, and you start beating yourself up again. Stop. You can pick up where you left off. It's not an overnight process. This is a commitment over time. So it's okay if you fall off the rails and give up for a bit and then restart again. It's okay. You've got to give yourself that shot. At least if you started somewhere. So, am I willing to make that commitment? Ask yourself that question. Am I willing to take the responsibility of my choice and choices I've made? That's part of the accountability. There's nobody else that's going to be accountable to you as much as you are. You want to have expectations on somebody else? Doesn't work until you have them for yourself. So are you willing to take that responsibility? And am I willing to stop blaming the world and everyone else? That blame game is a cop-out. We all do it. It's simple. I can't do it because I'm poor, or because of my childhood, I am the way I am, and I'm making the choices I make. Because of this situation or that person and the way they make me feel, I can't do it. Or because of whatever reason in my life, it's that reason, it's their fault. It's that situation's fault. Stop playing the blame game. Again, the blame, it's a bad word. That baseball bat comes out when we start looking at ourselves. blame ourselves. There's a difference in taking responsibility and blame. We are responsible for our choices. We accept the choices we made and we move on. We learn from them. That's not blame. It's accepting responsibility and accountability and working at it. If I were to say I'm perfect, well, I'm lying. Nobody is. We never will be. We're human. And it's okay. But learning from anything that happens is the best we can do. That's okay. Stop pointing the finger. It's not the situations around you. It's about the choices we make and how we're going to handle them, how we're going to cope with them, and how we're going to work with them. Are you ready to start with that point? Something else to take away. Am I willing to dedicate the time to me? Do I really want the best life? Are we willing to accept what life we have today? If you are, then maybe it's not the right time for you. And that's okay too. You're going to get there when you're ready. And it is a dedication of time. It's not going to take hours and hours. It can be 10 minutes a day. But it's dedicating the time to yourself. You dedicate it to a boss, to get a paycheck. You dedicate it to your family because, you need to support them and you love them and they love you and that's what you're in. I get it. And those are all important things. But if you're going to be the best for all of that, then you need to dedicate that time to you as well. So are you willing? Are you ready for that time? Through this, I do promise to put away the big stick and be kind. That's what I'm saying to myself. When I go through this, when I do my self-reflection every day, big stick goes away. Are you ready to do that too? It's difficult. We beat ourselves up every day. We question decisions we make. It's okay to question them. It's okay to outline them, but don't beat yourself up. That doesn't make any difference. Enough people in the outside world will do that for you. Trust me, there are trolls everywhere that in order to build themselves up, they need to beat somebody else down. And if that's the case, so be it. They will continue to do that until they get into a better place. But don't do it to yourself. We have enough people around us to do it for us. And the promises that you make to yourself are the most important. Are you going to make that promise to yourself? It's a promise. If you break your promises to yourself, it's easier to break them to other people. So if you're going to have your best relationships, start here. I promise to me that I'm going to continue this work. Are you ready to promise to you? Write it all down. When it's staring at you in the face, it's harder to walk away. All it takes is a piece of paper and a pen. It doesn't take anything special. A notebook, something you can keep to yourself. And if you're truly afraid, get one of those little lock ones. I'm sure they still sell them at dollar stores around you. It doesn't take a whole lot. You can keep it hidden under your pillowcase if you need to. It's going to be your top secrets, but write it down. It's going to be really important to look back, that reflection at all times. And you don't need to be a perfect speller or anything else. Remember, this is just for you to pick up and look at and say, I've made a promise to me. I've made a commitment. So at the end of the day, my call to action to you is make this commitment to yourself. Stick to it. Make sure that you are waking up each day for you, for a better you, to enjoy better life. We can do it. It's about choice. Put away the blockages, put away the negativity, and let's do this for us. And if you think there's somebody out there that can get something out of this, that this can help, share the podcast. If you want to look for us at www.hoperegained.com. Reach out to us at any time. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear your successes. We want to hear your ideas of what's going to help you stay committed to you and live your best life. Love it every day, the best that you can. You'll hear us on any platform that you listen to your podcasts. Find us there, and we can't wait to see you again and share the next message.